WCBI News at 6 starts now.
Thank you for joining us on this evening. I'm Jory Talley. With possible severe weather on the way, we begin tonight with a first look at our weather, joined by meteorologist Amanda Reynolds, who is here in the studio, and meteorologist Jacob Dickey, who is out live in the field. Amanda, let's toss it to you first.
Yeah, thanks, Jory. Right now, we actually have some cells just back to our west, but the bulk of the rain back to the west in parts of central Arkansas. So notice these cells that are moving off to the northeast. Those are what we're worried about right now. So we have this cell just now moving into Winona and then down to the south by Durant. So just moving out of Carroll County. Now, as I mentioned, the big picture, the bulk of the rain and the bulk of the storms are back off to our northwest, back into parts of central Arkansas. They've been the ones that have been producing severe wind as well as a few tornado warnings up by Memphis. So as we go forward through the rest of this evening, we're going to continue to keep an eye on that. The biggest threat for severe weather going to be strong winds and heavy downpours. But again, we can't rule out the chance of an isolated tornado late tonight. So make sure you have a way to stay weather aware throughout the overnight. Make sure you have a way to get any severe thunderstorm or tornado warnings that may be issued. So now I'm actually going to throw it over to meteorologist Jacob Dickey. He's out in the field, out in Carroll County, heading towards Winona, so let's toss it over to him.
Hey Amanda, we are out here east of Carrollton in the eastern side of Carroll County, looking at the cell that is over Winona right now. The National Weather Service has been talking with us, and they are seeing a little bit of weak rotation with this shower, as well as one down in southern Holmes County. The good news is the overall threat for tornadoes from these cells is lower, but we do think the severe threat will increase overnight as a line of showers and storms moves our way. That line is still off in Arkansas, so these gusty, briefly rotating showers are coming on through, get some rain, maybe some gusty winds out of it. You can see in front of us in the camera, there is just a little bit of a clearing there. We'll be watching that as it moves over Winona. But again, looking at the rain in this. Now remember, you can download the WCBI app, get your weather alerts overnight with that. If you have a weather radio, we recommend having that on. We'll be out in the field all evening and all night watching these showers and storms move on through to bring you that first alert. Amanda and Jory, back to you.
Thanks, Jacob. We hope you stay safe out there. On a day where storms are possible for severe weather, it's always good to be prepared for that rough weather. Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson was at Durham's Pharmacy in Vernon, Alabama earlier this morning, programming weather radios. Keith helped a steady stream of customers get a radio set up for the next round of storms. Weather radios, batteries, and other severe weather preparedness items are tax-free this weekend in Alabama. The Pontotoc County parents of Amaya Braxton held a press conference earlier today in Jackson near the Civil Rights Museum. It was to call on Mississippi Attorney General Jim Hood to investigate the actions of 1st Judicial District John Weddle in 2 grand jury proceedings deliberating their daughter's death. 7-year-old Amaya Braxton was killed on October 4th, 2016 by a motorist who passed a stopped Pontotoc County school bus on the shoulder side of Highway 9. The driver has never been charged or arrested. Amaya's parents, Charles and Andrea Braxton, are requesting for Attorney General Jim Hood to investigate whether Weddle deliberately muddied the waters and misled the 2 grand juries regarding Nathan's Law. The law calls for a felony for any driver who passes a stopped school bus and causes injury. Bond is revoked for a Starkville man charged with attempted kidnapping. Starkville police recaptured John B. Arnold Jr. on Friday evening after Arnold removed an electronic monitor. Public Information Officer Brandon Lovelady says Arnold's bond was revoked this morning at a hearing in the Oktibbeha County Jail. Lovelady also says Arnold received an additional charge of contempt of court and more charges are expected. Anyone with any information on this case is asked to call the Starkville Police Department and the Golden Triangle Crime Stoppers. The congregation of West Point's Trinity African Methodist Episcopal Church celebrates the opening of their new church. Dozens of members attended Saturday's dedication ceremony. Local officials were also there to witness the ribbon cutting. The new church is located on East Marrow Street. Members say the year-and-a-half spent constructing a new building in its new location is proof that they are committed to the community. One of the most storied bands in the nation visited Tupelo today. More on that after the break.
You're watching WCBI News at 6 with Jory Talley.
Stats show 20% of the country's population suffers from a learning disability. The most common one is dyslexia. Our Riley Livingston went to see how One Starkville Clinic is taking steps to help people diagnosed with the disability.
I came to this event because my son has dyslexia.
That's what brought many parents to the T.K. Martin Ignite Dyslexia Clinic presentation in Starkville. The event covered many topics in hopes of helping people with dyslexia. Coordinator for Ignite Dyslexia Clinic, Kathy Prater, says this is just one part of their program.
The clinic itself is run year-round, and this presentation is just one piece that we're trying to get as advocacy, an advocacy component of the dyslexia program.
Nia Smith is one of the many parents who came out to the event. She found out about it after getting in touch with Prater about having her son tested.
I really learned how to approach the school system with him having dyslexia and different things that I can do to help not only support him but support other parents.
Saturday speaker Sepia Buchanan says this isn't the only event planned.
Today was the second part of 3 sessions that we're having here, and today we basically talked about accommodations for dyslexia, children with dyslexia.
A big part of the program is being there to support people who have dyslexia.
There are people out there who are willing to help you with your children, and whatever you can do to get that help to make sure that your kids are successful, not only in primary education and high school, but also to carry with them through college and the rest of their life.
The clinic is sponsored by Families First of Mississippi, which allows the Ignite program to administer free evaluations until June. The test for dyslexia can range from $300 to $1,800. In Starkville, I'm Riley Livingston, WCBI News.
The clinic is planning on having another presentation before the summer. Students at Mississippi University for Women are drumming it up for health. MUW music therapy majors, along with local music therapists, were invited to participate. The University of Kansas music professor Bill Madney hosted the day-long workshop at Cochran Hall. Madney is a percussion expert and board-certified music therapist. He spent the day showing students and professionals how to connect with percussion instruments and more ways to learn how to play them.
Because we want to provide the best quality services to our clients. We want to be able to help them reach their full potential, and percussion is accessible, percussion is mobile, it's easy for us to take with us from place to place, session to session, and they're very easy. Everybody from all skill level can play a percussion instrument, and so this is a wonderful way for us to immediately engage our clients in music and to be able to create a musical relationship together.
Students in the program graduate with a Bachelor's of Arts in Music with a concentration in music therapy. The Alcorn State University Dynamite Band paraded in downtown Tupelo earlier today. WCBI's Chad Groening was there and has more on the story.
2 buses pulled up to the parking lot of Tupelo's historic Milam Elementary School, and members of the Alcorn State University Dynamite Band unloaded their instruments. They gathered in the parking lot to practice before their march through Tupelo. Tupelo Councilwoman Nettie Davis's late husband was an alumni of Alcorn State.
I'm a strong supporter. I'm a member of the local alumni chapter as an associate member, and I work hard to give support and help them in any kind of way that I can. And I worked hard this year, extra hard, because I know that's what my husband wanted to do. He loved Alcorn, and if he was living, I would be right there by him helping him.
Milton Harvey is an assistant director of the Dynamite Band. He says its unique sound has attracted audiences all around the country.
Hey, you know, we've done performances in New Orleans, we've gone to Indianapolis, we've been all over the nation, and it's all a team effort, it's a family effort. You know, the kids work hard, staff works hard, and once you have everyone on the same page, it's magic.
Sophomore Morgan Suggs of Tupelo plays the clarinet and is the only band member who comes from Northeast Mississippi. He wanted to attend an historic black college.
Being from Tupelo, we don't know nothing about Mississippi, like Alcorn State University, so we're known about Mississippi State and Ole Miss and all that stuff, so it's a good experience to, you know, branch out and learn more about HBCU and black culture.
And Suggs says the ASU band is unique.
The special is the tradition, like it's loud, we do dance, you know, we play all genres of music.
And with the ASU Alumni Convention in town, there was plenty of purple and gold lined up on Main Street to watch the band make its way through downtown. It was very special for Suggs.
Yes, it is, because, you know, like I said before, we never had a HBCU band to come down here, so it's very good. I'm proud to come back to my hometown in March.
And Davis hopes that more Tupelo students will choose Alcorn.
About us being so far away from a lot of the historically black colleges, I guess it's kind of expensive and hard for them to come up in this area. And by them having the alumni meeting here, the band director made a decision to allow them to come to expose them to the community and help. It's really kind of a recruitment tool.
We're a smaller school, so your class sizes are smaller, so you have a better relationship with the instructor. You're not considered a number, you're known by name, who you are.
Chad Groening, WCBI News, Tupelo.
Alcorn is the nation's first public historically black land-grant institution.
We've mentioned the storms that are going to move in tonight. They'll start to move into the area by 10, 11 o'clock and into the Golden Triangle by midnight. Biggest threat going to be strong winds, but heavy rain going to be an issue as well. More details on all of this coming up right after the break.
Your first alert forecast with meteorologist Amanda Reynolds.
We have an active Saturday night in store for us. Right now, temperatures hanging out in the low to mid 70s across the area, but also notice the dew points up in the mid and upper 60s. So this is more reminiscent of summer, and that's the fuel that's going to spark these severe thunderstorms as we go into the overnight tonight. So really going to look forward to these storms pushing their way east and continuing to impact. So there's that line right now back in parts of eastern Arkansas. They're going to continue to push eastward. Notice several severe thunderstorm warnings as well as a few tornado warnings up towards Memphis. So that's all going to push off to the north. So what we're looking at is what's down here. So that could continue to push in to our region as we go forward through the overnight. We are watching these two cells, one just passed through Winona and one back to the southwest towards Durant, just west of Kosciuszko. So those are two things that we're watching right now. But as we go forward through the rest of this evening, we're going to continue to watch these storms. They'll continue to move in by the early part of the overnight hours. The biggest threat going to be heavy rain and strong winds. But with that, we can't rule out the chance for an isolated tornado. So that's something we're going to keep an eye on through the overnight. But again, here's the severe threat. The back towards the west, that's where the greater tornado threat is, especially up to the north. And down here to the southeast, that's where we're looking at the greatest wind threat. So kind of the further north and west you go, the more we want to be on lookout for those. So again, here with a severe threat index, tornadoes, a few possible. As I mentioned, the strongest part of this is going to be the winds as well as the opportunity for some flooding. Many areas already saturated, and that means the saturated ground flash flooding occurs much more easily, and even some sub-severe winds could knock down some trees with those that saturated ground. Now, as I mentioned, right now, temperatures hanging out in the mid to low 70s, and that's the fuel for these storms. So as we go forward through the rest of this evening, I think most of us stay dry for the next few hours, but as we get to 10, 11 o'clock at night and into the early parts of the morning, that's when those severe thunderstorms are really going to start to develop, and that's when those winds will also start to pick up as well. We could see gusts 30 to even 40 miles per hour. So again, tonight we'll be down into the upper 50s, but we're going to continue to see strong storms and heavy rain as well. We could see those gusts upwards of 40 miles per hour. Again, the front will start moving in about 10 o'clock back to the northwest and continue to push off to the southeast. Should be in the Golden Triangle area by 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And by the time we get to tomorrow, we should be drying out. Can't rule out the chance of a brief shower, but we'll be much drier than we will be overnight tonight. So again, like taking a look at the 7-day forecast, again, once we get rid of these severe storms overnight tonight, will actually be fairly nice, at least for the beginning of the work week. We'll be in the mid 60s tomorrow, the upper 60s and low 70s by Monday and Tuesday, but we'll once again bring the chance for some stronger storms and heavy rain as we go into the middle of the work week.
Mississippi State and South Carolina would need overtime to see whose postseason dreams stay alive. Highlights from Starkville and next in sports.
Here's WCBI Sports with Tom Ebel.
Ben Howland called it the game of the year for the Bulldogs. Two desperate teams battling to stay alive for an NCAA tournament bid. To the hump, Mississippi State and South Carolina trying to keep pace with the pack in the SEC. Carolina would come out of the gates fast, but Mississippi State hits right back. Lamar Peters in transition Behind the back, little dime to Xavier Stapleton in transition for 2. Later on, more from Lamar Peters. He's going to get open for the corner triple. Stapleton returning the favor with the dime to Peters with a hand in his face. State got it down to a 4-point game late in the half, but the Gamecocks had it working against MSU. Hassani Gravett drills back-to-back triples. Carolina led 32-25 at the break, and in the second half, Bulldogs' rally was on from an unlikely source. Eli Wright comes off the bench and got the hump rocking. Here's this floating hoop and the harm for 2, and that was so good. Let's do it one more time. Wright to the hole with some authority. Another and one bucket for Wright. And one more time. Who else but Wright to come in? Another and one basket. Man, until Nick Weatherspoon came down on the clock. Shot clock winding down. He's going to nice size up here. Off the dribble, off the bounce for the nothing but nylon triple. Bulldogs grabbed their first lead late in the second half since they were up 2-1. It's 4 seconds left. Lamar Peters would sink 2 free throws, but here's South Carolina. Gravett, a 3 at the buzzer would send it to overtime. But in overtime, the Bulldogs keeping their composure. It would help to have Tyson Carter on your team. Good passing, leads to Carter in the corner for the triple. Frank Martin said Tyson Carter always shows up against South Carolina. In the extra session, one more time, Peters gets another to go. He'd have a team-high 19 points. Mississippi State rallies from a double-digit deficit to get a huge win in OT, 72-68. Another win keeps the Bulldogs' NCAA tourney hopes alive. We'll have more from Mississippi State at 10. Ole Miss drops a tough one to number 19 Tennessee. Vols get the win 73-65. Rebels shot 1 for 23 from deep. Close game for the Rebels, but no moral victories. We'll have highlights and reaction coming up tonight at 10. It's been a historic season for Hail State hoops. There's no questioning that. With each consecutive win, each statistical milestone, the Bulldogs capture the hearts of women's basketball fans not only in Starkville, but around the country. And that success has built a community that supports more than just what's on the court. Back in January, Mississippi State head coach Vic Schaefer had big plans for women's basketball in Starkville. Schaefer declared he would write a $10,000 check to the Boys and Girls Club in Starkville if attendance inside the hump topped 110,000 for the season. On Thursday, on senior night, the previous record of more than 92,000 was not only broken, but smashed. And Schaefer delivered on his promise, pulling out the checkbook after the final buzzer and giving back to the town that's embraced him and his team.
It was a win-win for me. Our seniors, this team, so special. Getting those fans to come shatter the record, quite frankly, a record at 113,000 now that be hard-pressed to break.
I almost lost it. You know, I said to him in that moment, I said, Coach, you have no idea just how awesome this is for our organization. He said, oh, you hadn't seen anything yet as he's signing the check. So I'm thinking, okay.
CEO of the Golden Triangle Boys and Girls Club, Nadia Colombe, had a feeling the donation from Schaefer would be happening with the rate of sellouts inside the hump, but she didn't imagine what the rest of the Mississippi State community would bring. An additional $41,000 was donated to help serve kids around the Golden Triangle.
Just to learn that there's such love and support in this community for our organization that we reach an additional $36,000 that night is just overwhelming.
The $10,000 for me was no problem, but to see what the rest of the Bulldogs did to supplement that, it just, again, I think it just shouts to the world, this is a special place, this is who we are, this is what we're about.
The year before Vic Schaefer became head coach of the Bulldogs, attendance inside the hump totaled 23,000 for the entire season. 6 years later, with the bar now set to 113,000, Schaefer says he owes it to his players for helping his vision become reality.
To be honest, that first year, I probably didn't want that many people in there. We weren't very good. But you give your kids all the credit in the world because those people are in there to see them, to see how they play the game, how they honor the game, how hard they play, to sit there next to their own son, their own daughter and say, hey, I want you to play like Dominique Dillingham. I want you to play like Victoria Vivians. That's the piece that's very rewarding.
Piston clubs in the area, as well as the Startup Club in West Point, kicking off in June. Schaefer and the Bulldogs go for a perfect regular season on the road tomorrow against Kentucky. That's it for sports. Last of your forecast is next.
We're dealing with some active weather out there. We have, this is the big picture. So again, we have a few cells back to our west, but again, the big cold front back into parts of eastern Arkansas now. So just getting ready to push into western Tennessee and the Delta. So that's what we're going to be keeping our eye on as we go forward through the rest of this evening and the overnight hours.
Wow, lots of rain coming this way.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you back here at 9 and 10.